On a packed Tokyo subway at the height of rush hour, thousands of people are pressed shoulder to shoulder, and a 2-year-old girl sits quietly next to her mother. No tablet, no bag of snacks, and nobody whispering through clenched teeth to make her behave. She is simply calm. And the strange part is that this is not some rare, lucky child. Japanese toddlers melt down far less often than ours do, and it has almost nothing to do with their parents being stricter. If anything, it is the opposite. There are 8 quiet rules behind it, and number 4 is the one where the calmest Japanese mothers do absolutely nothing while their toddler struggles, and it heads off the meltdown before it can even build. Let's start with number 1, which is the rule that flips how you see a tantrum in the first place. The Japanese word for it is shitsuke, and it usually gets translated into English as discipline, but it does not mean what discipline means in most American homes. It has no timeouts in it and nothing that looks like punishment. It means something closer to teaching a child the behavior you want on purpose before anything has gone wrong. So when your toddler throws herself down on the kitchen floor because you cut her toast into squares instead of triangles, she is not being manipulative and she is not testing you. A tantrum is almost never defiance. It is a missing skill showing up out loud. She simply has not built the ability yet to handle a disappointment that size. So instead of asking, "How do I make this behavior stop?" a Japanese parent quietly asks a different question. What is the skill my child has not learned yet, and how do I teach it to her? If she falls apart every time a tower of blocks collapses on the rug, the missing skill is coping with frustration, and you teach that in the calm moments long before the screaming ever starts. This one idea is the foundation underneath the next 7 rules. You stop running around putting out fires and you slowly start teaching the small human how not to catch fire in the first place. So let's look at the one thing that fills her up so full that most of those fires never even start. Number 2 is the closeness rule, and it is the one most likely to surprise an exhausted mom. The Japanese lean heavily on something researchers translate as skinship, which is just a plain word for physical closeness. It looks like carrying your child a great deal, keeping her close at night instead of down a separate hall, and a steady flow of holding and contact through the day. In a lot of American parenting, we are told to aim for the opposite, that a good baby learns independence early and soothes herself to sleep alone in the dark. But here is what is happening in your toddler's body when she gets that closeness instead. Physical contact with you releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical, and it pulls her baseline stress level down and keeps it low. A child who feels deeply and physically connected to you is not wandering through her whole day on a low simmer of anxiety, just looking for a reason to boil over. She is starting from calm, and a child who starts the day from calm has a much longer fuse before any tantrum. Think of connection as the fuel tank underneath all of her behavior. When that tank is full, small frustrations stay small. When it is running on empty, the tiniest thing, a sock seam or a wrong-colored cup, sets off an explosion that makes no sense to you at all. So before a big transition, before the grocery store, before whatever part of the day you know tends to go sideways, the move is to fill that tank first. 2 minutes of real holding on the couch, a few minutes down on the playroom floor with your full attention and your phone left in another room. It feels almost too simple to count as parenting. But it is doing more to prevent the next meltdown than any clever phrase you could say once one has already started. And once her tank is full, you can start building the one muscle that nearly every toddler is missing. Number 3 is the patience rule, and the Japanese have a single word for it that we do not really have in English. They call it gaman. Gaman means something close to the quiet endurance of sitting with a hard feeling without falling apart. And it happens to be the exact muscle a toddler does not have yet. Watch what usually unfolds at the store checkout. Your daughter spots the candy at her eye level, right where the companies place it on purpose, and she wants it with her entire body. And the second you say not today, she detonates. Now watch what a parent practicing gaman does instead. She does not cave and buy the candy, and she also does not get angry or start bargaining. She names the wanting, and then she lets her child sit right inside it. You really want that candy. It is so hard to want something and not get to have it right now. And then she simply stays calm and close while the feeling moves through her child's body. She does not distract her or fix it or hurry her out of it. Because every time a toddler is allowed to feel the ache of wanting something and survive it, that patience muscle grows a little stronger right there in the cart. The American instinct is to make the uncomfortable feeling vanish as fast as humanly possible, with a snack, a phone, a quick yes. But a feeling she is never allowed to practice is a feeling that will end up owning her. The ability to wait, to sit with disappointment without exploding, turns out to be one of the strongest predictors of how a kid does years down the road. And you are not building it with lectures or sticker charts. You are building it in these tiny grocery store moments by staying steady while she learns that wanting something and not getting it will not actually kill her. Which brings us to the one I promised you in the very beginning, the one where the calmest mothers in Japan do nothing at all. Now we get to number 4, the closest thing to a secret weapon on this whole list. It is called mimamoru, and it means to watch over while holding back. Go back to that mother on the subway for a second, the one whose toddler started to fuss. She did not pounce. She did not immediately shush the child or fix it or push a toy into her hands. She watched, closely and warmly, and she gave her daughter a few seconds to find her own way back down. That pause is mimamoru. In most American homes, we are trained to rush in the very instant our child struggles. She is frustrated with a puzzle piece that will not fit, and we lean in and fit it for her. She is whining at a stuck shoe by the front door, and our hands are already on it. We do it out of love, of course, but here is the message she quietly receives anyway. You cannot handle this, so I will. And a child who hears that often enough starts melting down faster over time because she has learned that the moment things get hard, the feeling is an emergency that somebody else has to rush in and solve. Mimamoru turns that around. When your toddler hits a small struggle, you pause, you stay close, you stay calm, and you give her 10 seconds before you swoop in. Often in those 10 seconds, she works the stuck shoe out herself, and the tantrum that was building just quietly evaporates, replaced by the pride of having done a hard thing on her own. Child development researchers have a name for the good kind of struggle. They call it productive struggle, and it is one of the things that grows a child who does not crumble the second life stops being easy. None of this means you abandon her to scream alone on the floor. If she is genuinely overwhelmed and well past the point of learning anything, you step in and you comfort her every time. But that pause, that small act of trust right before you rescue, is doing something no amount of rescuing ever could. And this next rule changes what you do with your own body the moment she does start to lose it. Number 5 is the proximity rule, and it is why you almost never see a Japanese parent shouting across a playground. You know the typical American scene. The toddler is doing something she should not be doing across the room, and the parent yells from the couch for her to stop that and put it down. To a toddler, a shout from that far away barely lands as words at all. Her body just reads it as danger. She floods with stress chemicals. The thinking part of her brain goes offline, and now you have started the very tantrum you were hoping to prevent. A Japanese parent works the other way around. She stops what she is doing, she walks all the way over, she gets down to her child's eye level, and she speaks low and quiet. Dr. Dan Siegel calls the higher thinking part of the brain the upstairs brain, and the lower reactive part the downstairs brain. When you yell from across the room, you trip the downstairs brain, the panic button. When you come close, kneel down and lower your voice. You reach the upstairs brain instead, the part that can actually hear you and cooperate. Same instruction, completely different result inside her body. Getting down to her level and dropping your voice tells her underneath the words that she is safe, and a child who feels safe does not need a meltdown to be heard. So the next time you catch yourself about to bark a command across the house, try walking over to her instead. It is more effort in the moment, but it saves you the 20 minutes of meltdown that the shout would have cost you both. If any of this is landing for you, hit subscribe before we keep going. I make these for moms who are trying to raise calmer kids than they were raised to be, and I put a new one out every week. Now let me show you number 6, because this is the one that pulls a meltdown back down once it has already started to climb. Number 6 is the mirror rule, and it is the fastest way I know to bring a rising tantrum back down. When a toddler is starting to spin up, every instinct we have is to talk her out of the feeling. It is not a big deal. Stop crying, you are fine. But telling a flooded toddler she is fine pours gasoline on the very thing you are trying to put out. Because now, on top of the original upset, she also feels completely unseen. A Japanese parent does not argue with the feeling at all. She mirrors it straight back to her. You are so frustrated that we have to leave the park. You really did not want to put your shoes on right now. That is the whole move. She names the emotion out loud and reflects it back like a mirror before she tries to fix a single thing. And the moment the child feels truly seen, her body shifts. Her nervous system reads being understood as a signal of safety, and a safe nervous system stops fighting. She no longer has to escalate to make you grasp how big the feeling is, because you have already shown her that you get it. This is not caving to whatever she wants. You can mirror the feeling and still hold the line in the same breath. We are still leaving the park and you are allowed to be sad about it, and I am right here with you. The feeling gets fully met and the boundary stays exactly where it was. Most tantrums are not really a child trying to win a battle. They are a child trying to be understood, and the mirror hands her that in about 5 seconds, often before the storm has fully broken. And this next one moves all of it even earlier, to before the hard moment has even arrived. Number 7 is one of my personal favorites. The Japanese call it kage no doryoku, and it roughly means shadow effort. Shadow effort is the work you do quietly ahead of time, back in the calm, so that the hard moment never turns into a battle in the first place. You already know which parts of your day tend to blow up, whether it is the grocery store or leaving the playground or sitting still in the waiting room at the doctor. So instead of bracing yourself for the explosion and hoping for the best, you pre-teach the calm before you ever get there. On the drive to the store, buckled in the car, you walk her through it like a little game. When we get to the store, we are going to see a lot of candy, and we are not buying candy today, and your special job is to help me find the bananas. You are rehearsing the hard moment together while everyone is still regulated and nobody is upset yet. A friend of mine dreaded every grocery trip with her 3-year-old until she started doing exactly this in the car on the way over, turning the whole outing into a mission with a real job to do. The meltdowns did not disappear completely, but they shrank because her son walked through those sliding doors already knowing what was coming and what was expected of him. Toddlers handle surprises terribly. A surprise no in the middle of the cereal aisle feels to a small child like an ambush, and an ambushed toddler comes out swinging. That very same no, delivered ahead of time as part of a plan she helped make, lands in a completely different place. So pick the one moment in your day that reliably ends in tears and spend 2 minutes pre-teaching it in the calm beforehand. You are doing the quiet work back in the shadows so that the spotlight moment can finally stay peaceful. And the last rule is the ground that the other 7 all stand on. Number 8 is the lead by example rule, and it quietly holds up everything else on this list. There is an old Japanese saying that the back of the parent is the child's textbook. It means your child learns far more from watching who you actually are than from anything you ever tell her to do. And nowhere is that more true than with tantrums. Your toddler's nervous system is not a separate thing from yours. In these early years, it is wired to sync up with yours, to borrow your calm, or to catch your panic. She does not have a working set of brakes of her own yet, so she runs on yours. Which means the most honest question to sit with is not, why does my child keep losing it? It is, what is she catching from me? When you yell in order to get her to stop yelling, you teach her that yelling is simply what a big upset feeling looks like on a person. When you slam the cabinet door because you have hit the end of your rope, you show her exactly what to do with frustration. But when you take one slow breath in front of her, when you say out loud, I am feeling really frustrated right now, so I am going to breathe before I talk, you hand her the actual tool, modeled live in front of her, and I am going to say the part out loud that we usually skip. You are going to lose it sometimes. You are exhausted and touched out and running on cold coffee from this morning, and some days you are simply going to snap. That is not the failure. The repair afterward is the whole lesson. When you come back to her later and say, I yelled earlier and that was not okay, I was frustrated, but I should not have taken it out on you. I am sorry, you are showing her that a person can mess up and then make things right again. That matters more than her ever watching you be perfect. Your own calm is the thermostat for the whole house. When you steady yourself first, you are not just heading off one tantrum in the moment, you are showing her in the only language a toddler truly understands how a human being handles being upset. So that is the whole list, 8 rules that all point at the same quiet idea. You are not trying to win against your toddler. You are teaching a brand new nervous system how to settle, mostly by lending it your own. Before you close this video, I want to say the honest thing, because I know some of you are already replaying every time you yelled across the room today. None of this is about turning yourself into a serene painting of a mother who never raises her voice. That mom does not exist anywhere, not in Tokyo, and not on your street. Your toddler does not need a flawless mother. She needs one who is slowly and imperfectly learning to stay a little calmer, to pause a little longer, and to come back and repair on the days she misses. You will not do all 8 of these well because nobody alive does, but you do not need all 8 to change the temperature inside your home, so this week pick just one of them. The pause before you rescue, or the mirror when she is upset, or 2 quiet minutes in the car before the store. Then watch what happens over the next few weeks. And if this gave you even one moment where your toddler's meltdown suddenly made a little more sense, share it with another mom who is deep in the thick of it too. I will see you in the next one.